All right, diving right in today, getting right into it. We're going to unpack all the drama surrounding Sister Wives star Kody Brown. Specifically, we're looking at the fallout of his relationships
Yeah.
and the impact, all that's had on his kids.
Yeah, and right away, I think one of the most kind of shocking things that jumps out at you is that statistic that's been going around, right?
Right. So
90 to 95% of his adult children are estranged from him. That's not just like a family disagreement. That speaks to something much deeper, almost a complete fracturing, of the family unit.
So then what could be driving such, this is extreme estrangement. What could be the root of this? It seems like from what we're seeing that it's, his unwavering loyalty to Robyn, his fourth wife.
Right. And that's not something that is just unique to polygamous families, right? Like,
Yeah.
Dr. Deborah Berger, she's a leading family therapist, talks about this all the time. This idea that you prioritize one relationship, even a marriage, above other familial bonds, it creates this ripple effect of resentment and hurt, and especially when children perceive a parent as favoring one sibling, or in this case, one spouse over the others, it can be really, really damaging, lead to feelings of abandonment, even create, long-lasting emotional scars.
And we see that reflected in how, his ex-wives are talking about him now.
Hmm.
Janelle, for instance, is very adamant that, Kody is not welcome at family events, even if Robyn's not there.
Yeah, that's huge, right? Like it suggests that the issue really goes way beyond just, his relationship with Robyn. It speaks to like this fundamental breakdown in trust and respect within that whole family dynamic. Almost like she's saying, this isn't just about, you and Robyn. It's about the choices that you've made and the damage you inflicted on the whole family.
And even Christine, another one of his former wives, has expressed concern over the long-term effects of this estrangement, specifically on the kids. Even using the term daddy issues, which, might be a bit informal, but it points to a real phenomenon, right?
Absolutely. Kids, they're super perceptive, even if they don't always have the words to articulate what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And witnessing a parent prioritize one relationship, to the detriment of others can be devastating, right? There's studies that show that kids in these situations, they might develop avoidant attachment styles, and then that affects their ability to form healthy and secure relationships, later in life. They might develop a fear of abandonment, feel unworthy of love and attention. These are deep wounds that can really take a toll.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to think about those kids caught in the middle, having to navigate these, really complex, very adult emotions and decisions.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how Kody sees all of this, like he's been quoted describing his life with Robyn now as small and pleasant, but he also admits to feeling a lack of attention and validation. Isn't that kind of a contradiction?
Yeah, and it really does beg the question, right? Like is this contentment masking deeper issues? This is something we see a lot, actually, in individuals who make these, life-altering choices that then lead to social isolation or a loss of connection with loved ones. There's this whole thing, right? Cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yeah?
Where we tend to rationalize our choices to kind of reduce the discomfort of realizing, oh, shoot, maybe I was wrong, or maybe I caused harm. So in Kody's case, he might be subconsciously downplaying the need for that connection with his kids just to justify the decision, to be with Robyn.
So it might not be as simple as just, saying that he's content, right? There could be a deeper struggle going on that he might not even be aware of.
Exactly. And that's where things get really fascinating, right? Because he maintains that, the door is always open for his kids, which, on the surface sounds great, sounds welcoming, but
also very passive.
Yeah.
It's like he's waiting for them to come to him to apologize for, I don't even know what.
Right, for being hurt by his actions, for feeling abandoned.
Exactly. Like true reconciliation, that takes more than an open door, right? It takes effort and empathy and a willingness to understand the pain that he's caused. And that has to start with acknowledging his role in all of this, taking responsibility for those choices and showing that he wants to actually repair that damage. It's not enough to just say, come back, everything's fine. He needs to show them through what he does, what he says, that he understands how deeply he's hurt them and that he's willing to put in the work to fix things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that work, that can be really tough. It's messy and uncomfortable. It means confronting painful emotions, admitting mistakes, and really listening to to those that he's hurt. It's not a quick fix. It's a journey, you know?
Yeah.
It's a journey of healing, of rebuilding trust.
And it sounds like, at least from what we're seeing, he's not quite there yet. Both Christine and Janelle, they've said that he needs to take responsibility to acknowledge the pain that he's caused.
Right.
But there's no indication that he's ready to do that.
That's worrying, right? Because without that willingness to acknowledge his role in this whole estrangement, any attempt at reconciliation is going to feel empty.
Yeah.
Insincere, almost like he's saying, yeah, come on back, but it's going to be on my terms. I don't have to change. I don't have to really understand how my actions have impacted you.
And that's not going to lead to any real healing, is it?
Yeah.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a much deeper wound.
Yeah, it's a very superficial attempt at a resolution, It's ignoring the real emotional needs of his children.
Yeah.
And in the long run, that's just going to do more damage to these already fragile relationships.
Yeah, it feels like he's almost stuck in this cycle of, justifying and just not really dealing with the weight of what his choices have led to. And it seems like, the longer that goes on, the worse it gets, the more dug in everybody becomes.
Absolutely. And I think this is where, the media's portrayal of all this adds a really interesting wrinkle, right? Because, they're very much focused on, the drama and the sensational aspects of it all. And that can actually make genuine reconciliation a lot harder.
It seems like everyone's got an opinion on Kody and his family. And not all of them are, very kind. It makes you think, how much of that outside pressure is playing into his actions or his willingness to even look inward?
That's a great point, because when you're constantly being judged and people are criticizing you, it can be really hard to kind of filter out, what's actually valuable feedback versus just, noise. And it leads to defensiveness and feeling misunderstood. And then you're less likely to want to admit any fault.
And that's a huge barrier to healing, especially when we're talking about a situation where accountability is so important. Right?
Yeah.
It's like if Kody's main focus is on defending himself to the public, then there's not much room left to really look inside and have empathy for the people he's hurt.
Exactly. It becomes more about, upholding a certain image than addressing the real issues. And that image a lot of times is being shaped by, the media's narrative, which can often oversimplify these really complex family dynamics, into these neat little sound bites and headlines.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even though we're talking about a very public family, their struggles are still personal, right?
Absolutely.
It's their lives, and it's playing out on this very public stage, but it's still real life with real emotions.
And it highlights the importance of media literacy, right? Like being able to look at the information that's being given to you and think critically about it and recognize what are the biases, what are the agendas that might be shaping that story. There's always more to it than what you see on the surface.
Yeah, it's about remembering that these are real people, and they have real emotions and complex relationships. And it's easy to get, swept up in the drama and the speculation, but we got to approach these things with empathy.
Absolutely.
Remembering that human element of it all.
And recognizing the vulnerability inherent in sharing your life, with the world, especially when it involves, something as different as a polygamous family structure.
Right. And it makes me wonder, like how different would this be? If we were talking about a traditional nuclear family versus a polygamous one, would the media be all over it like this? Would the whole estrangement and reconciliation thing play out the same way?
It's an interesting question. It's hard to say for sure. Obviously those core issues of loyalty and communication and accountability, those are universal.
Yeah.
But the context of polygamy definitely adds layers to it all.
Polygamy by its very nature kind of pushes back against, traditional norms.
Yeah.
Introduces a whole different set of power dynamics and the potential for jealousy and competition.
Yeah.
And just a level of emotional intensity that maybe you don't see as much in a typical monogamous relationship.
Yeah, and those complexities, they often get, blown out of proportion by the media, right? They tend to zoom in on the most sensational aspects of polygamous relationships and perpetuate stereotypes and misconceptions, which just makes the family's internal dynamics that much harder to deal with.
Yeah, it's like the public's perception of polygamy becomes this lens that everything they do gets filtered through.
Right.
So it makes it even harder for them to work through their own issues.
And it creates this situation where the family's private struggles become like all tangled up with these public debates about, is lifestyle moral? Is it legitimate?
Right.
And it's really hard to separate those two things, when you're constantly being, watched and judged by the outside world.
And then in that environment, true reconciliation, I mean, that becomes almost impossible, right? It's not just about fixing things within the family anymore. It's about dealing with the public's perception, trying to move forward with all that noise and judgment hanging over you.
It takes incredible resilience and self-awareness, and I think it really underscores how important it is to find support from people who get it, who understand the unique challenges of polygamous relationships, whether that's therapists who specialize in alternative family structures, or support groups for polygamous families.
It's important to remember that this isn't just about, Kody and his choices. It's about the kids who are stuck in the middle of all this.
Right. And they deserve to heal. They deserve the chance to build healthy relationships and find their own way forward, regardless of, what their parents have done.
Christine's concerns about daddy issues really, really stick with me.
Yeah.
Even if the kids don't fully grasp all the nuances of this whole family structure, they feel it, right? They feel that emotional distance of a father who seems to prioritize, one wife and her kids over everyone else.
And those early experiences, with parental figures, they're so formative. They can shape a person's attachment style, their self-esteem, their ability to form healthy relationships later on. It's huge.
And what does that do to the kids, right?
Sure.
What kind of coping mechanisms do they develop to deal with that emotional fallout? Some might withdraw, some might act out, looking for attention in not so healthy ways.
Yeah, some might even, internalize that blame.
Yeah.
Believing that they're somehow responsible for their dad's distance, or that they're just not worthy of his love.
Right.
Those scars, they run deep.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, And it makes you wonder, like, at this point, is reconciliation even possible, or has too much damage been done?
That's a question that only Kody and his kids can really answer. It depends on whether they're willing to really be honest with each other, to confront some really painful truths, and to forgive. Yeah. It takes a lot of vulnerability, a lot of empathy, and that can be really hard when there's so much hurt and resentment on both sides.
It's a very delicate balance, right? One wrong step, one wrong word, and things could fall apart again.
But even in the darkest of situations, there's always that possibility of healing, of forgiveness, of rebuilding those connections.
Yeah.
And that often starts with just one small step, a willingness to reach out, to listen, to acknowledge the pain that's been caused, and to really show that you want to make things right. It might not be easy, but it's a journey worth taking, for the sake of the kids, for the sake of the family, and honestly, for their own emotional well-being.
It's a reminder that even in the most messy and complicated family situations, there's always a chance for things to get better. It might not be a perfect happy ending like you see in the movies, but it can show how strong family bonds really are.
Absolutely.
And the power of forgiveness. And it reminds you too that family isn't always just about blood or shared history.
Right. It's about who shows up for you.
Exactly.
Who supports you, who challenges you to grow.
And those relationships, the ones that are built on that mutual respect and understanding, those can be the strongest, the most fulfilling.
Totally. And sometimes those relationships mean redefining what family even means to you, right? Like embracing all those messy bits, the imperfections that make us human.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the Brown family and everything going on there, let's bring it back to you, the listener.
Yeah. What really stuck with you, in this whole conversation about loyalty and
Maybe you've seen something similar in your own family or with your friends.
Or maybe this has, made you think about your own relationships, how you navigate those tricky balances of love and loyalty and growing as a person.
We really encourage you to sit with these questions, explore those thoughts and feelings that have come up while we've been talking.
Because real understanding, it comes from looking inward, from examining your own experiences and your beliefs,
Yeah.
based on new information and perspectives.
So as you keep thinking about all these really complex family dynamics, we'll leave you with this one final question.
Okay.
If you could give Kody one piece of advice
Hmm.
to try and help him, mend those relationships, what would it be?
Right. Would you tell him to be more active, in trying to reconcile?
Hmm.
Or would you say, hey, respect the boundaries that his ex-wives and kids have set, give them the space they need, to heal?
It's tough, right? There's no easy answer, no magic solution
Hmm.
for rebuilding trust when it's been broken like this.
But when you have open and honest communication,
Like,
when you prioritize empathy and understanding,
yeah,
and you show a real willingness to change, there's always hope.
right.
There's hope for healing, for growth, for things to get better.
Absolutely. This has been your deep dive into the complicated world of the Brown family and their relationships.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on this journey of exploration and reflection.
We hope that this has given you some valuable insights and a new appreciation for just how complex human relationships could be.
Yeah, until next time, may your own family ties be strong and your connections deep
And your journey filled with love and understanding.
and a constant pursuit of growth.